you're going to get us to like wild cards.
I don't care. My show will talk about what I want to talk about.
Hey, I'm not forcing you guys to like Morbius or Moon Knight. The least we can do is pretend to be engaged in wild cards.
Hey, I like Moon Knight. I'm with you on that one.
Somehow we looped it back around to comics. I'm impressed.
I mean, I think there are a number of interesting conversations about comics to go on today.
There are. Some of them even were in the Discord.
How all of them are fake and gay.
How I'm really thankful that I haven't read a Marvel comic in almost a decade.
That's
a
not
new
true.
Marvel comic, I should say.
No, that's not true. We reviewed the House and Powers of X when that came out.
You're right. You're not wrong.
But I think that's the I think that's the only one we've only.
Look, the only thing I would like to talk about, and it's light, so I mean it's good for the cold open, which we're probably doing right now anyway. Hey, can we talk about mutant villain Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we can talk about.
I mean that seems like a good show topic to me.
Right. So to bring people up to speed, artist
is it the cold open yet, or do you want to go to the actual open?
Oh no, it's the cold open.
So, right, but I mean, is this a cold open topic or an open topic?
I mean, it could be either or.
Okay, so, go ahead.
I was going to type in something indigenous for our hashtag, but apparently Indonesian Open and Masters 2021 popped up, so I'm putting those in the hashtag.
So, some days ago, an artist named Carlos Gomez made a Thanksgiving Day piece of comic art that was being passed around by.
Send me that link, or repost it in the group chat. I'll bring it up.
Certainly. But passed it around. This guy, Domino's houseboy, also known as RP Hutch. That's right, I'm naming names. And the thing is that, while it's a very well done piece of art, I'm like, credit where credit's due, it's good art, right? I have to draw attention to my comment, and
In fact, if we're going to post it, we should post Rune's comment, which I just posted in the show suggestion section on our Discord.
Right. But I will read it because the viewers don't know. If you're looking at this photo, from the head of the table, left to right, we have a Jewish mutant supremacist.
Let me get it up.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, give Church a minute to get it up.
I assumed Church was already on it.
I am. I just, want me to just have some shit ready.
Sure.
Where's it at?
Show suggestions.
Also, I love how fucking snarky Sinister is.
There we go. It's up.
Okay, so from the head of the table, left to right, we have a Jewish mutant supremacist, a mutant eugenicist, a human homicidal maniac, a mutant elitist, a mutant terrorist, a mutant murderous psychopath, a mutant schizophrenic with too much power, and a mutant hating, although the amendment there given was a Charles hating, human with magic powers. Because you have Magneto, Mr. Sinister, Arcade, White Queen, Mystique, Sabretooth, Phoenix, Dark or Light, I don't know, and Juggernaut. This is not a Thanksgiving that would happen. This is not a Thanksgiving that is a good idea. Well, These people would not hang out together.
This is a Thanksgiving that Jonathan Hickman would write up.
Yeah.
I think the Thanksgiving would end as the Juggernaut's head being used as or the Juggernaut's helmet being used as a gravy boat, while the rest of them is a
Well, what I said was, this isn't a Thanksgiving table. This is a massacre waiting to happen, and could save the world a lot of problems with one well-placed drone strike.
Also, Magneto's sitting in the father position at the table, which is another.
Because he's daddy.
Yeah, that's another interesting.
I mean, if we truly want to dig into the logistics here, why did he put the mutant eugenicist at his right hand, and not Mystique, who is like his go-to gal. That's kind of a family no. That's like putting
she's at
putting your bestie at the kids' table.
No, she's at the matriarchal position of the table, the head and foot of the table.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose. Does that mean that Juggernaut just gets to sit to the left because the only thing that Magneto and Juggernaut share is a mutual hatred for Charles Xavier?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and they also both have a close relationship with Charles.
And the mutant eugenicist is everyone's right-hand man. He's never been a good solo character, but he's always been a good henchman for, like, Apocalypse, so...
Well, I mean, I'm gonna make some freaking hot takes that nobody likes to say. The Claremont era gave us many cool things. It did give us one very bad thing, which has infected all comics, and specifically infected the X-Men prodigiously. And that is the mystery box villain, or the mystery box hero, with ill-defined pasts or ill-defined motivations that we're just going to feed out that they're up to something for the next 20, 30, 40 years, never intending to actually resolve it.
I mean, I'm always up to something, and there's not always a reason for it.
I'm just saying, the fact that Mr. Sinister is basically Jack the Ripper and was a eugenicist working out of Bedlam Asylum in the 1890s has never mattered to anything to anyone ever, right?
Or how his breeding program is responsible for Cannonball's family, Jean Grey's family, the Summers family.
Right. He's got this ill-defined plan to make a best mutant, but he's just going to end up being Apocalypse's bitch boy.
Let's see. I think he also was responsible for Gambit's ancestry at some point. I forgot because there was a whole run in Gambit where they focused on the Black Womb, which was kind of weird.
Well, there's also the fact that Sinister was up to no good, and Gambit had worked for Sinister, leading the Marauders down to kill the Morlocks for the Mutant Massacre, right? So Bishop and Gambit, once they found out that Gambit was not the traitor, hooked up to be heroes together and actually had a pretty good solo run by themselves.
And they also, Gambit realized that Bishop realized that Gambit was actually the guy who raised him in the future.
Wow, I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Because remember, the traitor of the mutants is actually Charles Xavier, and due to Bishop's presence, he was able to prevent Onslaught from just killing the X-Men. So we're already in an alternate timeline.
And Charles Xavier becoming the traitor to all mutants is what's ruined the character of Charles Xavier.
Well,
and they've never been able to put that back in the bottle.
No, that's the thing. At the time, right, before they added a bunch of other shit, before they added that nameless mutant that Charles put in a coma, and all this other stupid, the idea that Charles Xavier, human paragon, is just a man, and had been suppressing his negative emotions for decades, building up all this psychic sewage, and that absorbing Magneto's mind was too fucking much, because now he had the negativity of two people running around in his head, plus the frustrations and failures of recent X-lore, was an excellent reason to have a story in which Charles Xavier manifested a dark side that almost destroyed the planet. That is fucking genius.
And it was good, but it was
back to that
poorly in the end.
Well, it was executed poorly because... Who?
Joseph. Magneto.
Joseph was a terrible character, and it had to be... its end had to not live up to its potential, because they had to do Heroes Reborn, because they couldn't let... They couldn't... Like, Marvel has never even let things go a month or two where it's like, major characters are dead, they ain't coming back, and letting us believe it's going to happen. They always, almost immediately, start laying the groundwork for the big return. And in so doing, utterly destroy any trust we might have in an interesting new status quo, no matter how temporary. You know, like, I always thought that M-Day was kind of stupid, right? But some of the after effects of M-Day were quite good. Like, I liked the idea that, not that there were less mutants on Earth, but the idea that there was a specific, like, neighborhood in New York
a little bit, that was, because at that point there were like tens of thousands of mutants.
Right, but I like
And
the idea that in New
they-
York there's a given neighborhood that's just called Mutant Town where mutants live.
Well,
That's great.
Well, I like to think that not as much that. Like, I like the idea of there being a mutant population across the earth. But what I don't like is what I like to think happened in Marvel is that they looked at the mutant population and said, we've written ourselves into a corner where there's just always plot device the mutant.
Well,
Yeah.
no, that's not what Marvel said. Marvel said, look, all these mutants are too confusing for people. We need to get them down to a number that is less confusing.
The problem is it's always the appearance of a great event, and there's nothing there. And they've done it 5 times now, because there was the Mutant Massacre the first time they did it, and it actually worked. Except nobody knows who the Morlocks are. The Morlocks didn't have their own book, right?
Who doesn't know who the Morlocks are?
No, I mean they know, but the very plot line of the
Anybody
Morlocks
that's been
was
reading-
their
that only started reading comics in the late 90s.
the very story of the Morlocks is their invisibility, right? Because Storm went down there and became leader of the Morlocks by beating Callisto, and then fucked off and never interacted with them again.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they're ugly.
there's Callisto and then there's Leech. Those are the only 2 that I can tell you the name of off the top of my head.
Marrow was a Morlock.
Yeah, Marrow. That's
Right.
the third.
Toad was a Morlock.
Yeah, I was gonna say Toad becomes a
But-
Morlock later.
But also, like, I happen to know because I read the absolutely awful
Nightcrawler hung
X-Man
out
book.
with the Morlocks for a while.
Yeah, but here's
Yeah,
the
I
thing.
was gonna say in Ultimates, Nightcrawler became like leader of the Morlocks. I think.
but here's the thing. As a for instance, I read the absolutely abysmal X-Man comic where an alternative Nathan Gray comes to 616, right? So I also know that like the Abomination became leader of the Morlocks, and then quite suddenly a mutant Morlock lost his mind and murdered the rest of them. So the Morlocks are dead, right? But that's neither here nor there. Because the thing is like, okay, so after the Mutant Massacre...
Actually, they brought the Morlocks back because they were in Gay Iceman book.
Oh, of course. But
is that the official name of it?
I
Yes,
mean,
Gay
that's
Iceman
what it should
book?
be called.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we can't call it Dinner Theater Man, even though for whatever reason, apparently being gay means that Bobby Drake wears fucking evening wear and has hard gay with Dawkins, which is fucking offensive.
Look, wearing evening wear does not mean you're gay.
I'm wearing a tuxedo now.
No, that is entirely what Marvel has asserted. They said, Bobby, you're gay because I mind raped you to make you gay.
Well, no,
He's like,
they're
okay.
saying that they totally didn't cause him to be gay with mind rape. Honest, you guys, Jean Grey didn't totally
Look, we're
do weird
talking
fan
about
fiction things.
we're talking about all this meta stuff in the X-Men, but we're not addressing the big issue that nobody really wants to talk about. You want to talk about breaking the lid off of something? Whatever happened to Obnoxio the Clown? God damn it!
Now that is a deep cut.
I think the last time I read something with him in it was a one-off Wolverine story.
But
anyway,
regardless,
now that's a good line to start the warm open.
See, that's where I was going with that.
There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big 2 and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, the Church of Failure, and with me, as always, is my trusted co-host, Ayrton McCartney, Larry
What
Bernard,
up?
and RuneKnight.
Hey,
How you boys doing tonight?
Good.
I'm pretty good.
Is that our longest cold open ever?
No, absolutely not.
No.
There was at least one show that was an entire cold open.
I'm pretty sure it's our most on-topic cold open.
Yes, that is correct.
But no, I actually did want to shift gears since we got into the discussion about the X-Men, because there is a more poignant topic that was brought up in the group chat, and that is the topic of a new comic centering around an indigenous character.
Well, it's not a new comic. It's an anthology book that references indigenous characters, like the anthology book that they did that referenced black people, and the anthology
Like
book they did,
Rojaj.
yeah, and like the anthology book they did that referenced gay people. And after this anthology book that talks about indigenous people, they have an anthology book that talks about handicapped people
Where's
and
the one that talks
fatties.
about the white people?
Oh, we're gonna have to read that so you guys can listen to me do nothing but rage about how much I hate cripples in media.
Okay, add that. Somebody add that to the list.
I'm just gonna clip that
Marvel
and just
hasn't
cut him as soon as he
announced
says
that
cripples.
Yeah, Marvel hasn't announced that yet, but they're gonna. And Vita Ayala will probably come out as having some sort of developmental disability.
Doesn't everyone that in the the bullpen
Well, no,
at Marvel
no.
have a disability?
No, legit. Apparently, Vita Ayala didn't learn how to read until 8th grade.
Stand by. Some psychic, Charles Xavier, Jean Grey, what have you, will be revealed to be autistic, and it's going to be because of their powers.
Oh,
because
it'll be Jean. It'll be Jean, not Professor X.
Yeah,
why not Mojo?
Wait, you mean Mojo from the Mojoverse?
Yeah.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He doesn't have the autism. He has the ADHD. Clearly. But no, they'll take the mental illnesses, they'll make them superpowers, rather than debilitating difficulties people must overcome, and be like, no, you're special. Because, yet again, we just love being put on this planet to make you feel better about yourself. I cannot tell you just how much I love it when I'm like going down the street to the grocery store or on the bus or whatever, and somebody sees me fucking struggling with my life, which is just my life, and they're like, you are such an inspiration. I really appreciate that you try. It's like, thanks, lady.
Do people really
yes
come up to you and say that? Are you fucking serious?
No, I am 100% serious.
Well, hold up. I don't know the nature of how your life struggle goes in physical meat space reality.
I have cerebral palsy. I specifically have spastic diaplegia, which means if I'm sitting,
he gets palsy occasionally, you know.
Yeah. If I'm sitting around, you couldn't tell. Okay, and as Dario has said, I fuck. So everything works. But if I stand up and walk around, it's like, oh wow, Joe's the cripple kid. So, yeah, and no, as much as I appreciate attempts to like quote unquote be inclusive, like I'm always impressed when they have a character that's disabled that's actually smart or viable or capable.
That isn't Jimmy from South Park.
Yeah, this isn't fucking Jimmy from South Park. I am also livid every time some pandering piece of shit, crops up. Some Burger King club kid, right? And it's like, oh yes, here's our disabled character. It's like, fuck you. That's why I get on the high horse and I am on the mad wagon about the combat wheelchair in D&D. Not to start a side rant, but I am fucking offended that it's like, oh, people in wheelchairs can't play D&D because it doesn't represent them. So we need to have a magic wheelchair that lets us fly and be better than everyone else.
Hold on, isn't it called role playing?
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure that I'm not actually a psychic vampire.
No, it's role playing because you roll in the war.
Because you have wheels.
I mean, here's one of my favorite role playing game experiences, because I had a guy in a chair who was at my table, and he played a character that got accused.
I would hope everyone that was at your table was in a chair, Larry. He consider an asshole.
No, I'd fucking stand at the table because fuck you.
So he was in a wheelchair, but his character, because he accidentally had a slight car accident with a handicapped person, and his handicap was he lost an arm. One of the NPCs just kept ragging on him for hating handicapped people.
So I've got an article up, going back to the initial topic.
Church is like, I'm done with this.
About the Indigenous Hero Heritage #1 book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as the token, at least 1/16 Cherokee War Princess Church. I don't know. Like I see based on the image that they're They're posting
Church,
about here.
will you sing "Colors of the Wind" for us?
No, but I will shed a fake tear with glycerin.
Okay.
Here's the boggle, man. Okay. Because you actually mentioned the one of the quintessential characters for this issue in your post, right? Red Wolf is fine. Forge is fine. Thunderbird. Let's talk about Thunderbird for a minute. So Thunderbird was
hold on. Thunderbird with the bum wine.
Thunderbird's dead.
No. We start with Thunderbird. Thunderbird was in fact a token character because the early X-Men were totally just a token spread. It was by design.
Yeah.
Let's be multinational. Fine.
Honestly, I totally forgot Forge was supposed to be native.
So Thunderbird was a much disliked character because he didn't have much personality. He was just a big angry dude.
He was strong. He was angry.
Right.
His white man took his land.
So they did him in, right? And they introduced his brother. I want to say Warpath, right?
Yeah.
And Warpath was a much more nuanced, much more deep character who built off of the fact, my brother was an X-Man and he died, right? And this led to, not directly but by abstraction, to New Mutants. New Mutants had a character named Danny Moonstone, who was a Native American.
Actually, Danny came first.
Danny came first? But still, I had a book in which the New Mutants traveled basically to not the Happy Hunting Ground, but to a psychic realm, right? Because Danny, who had been in a horrible car accident, was on the edge of death, and her soul was going to be consumed by a spirit bear, right? And they had to fight the spirit bear. And
the movie New Mutants was loosely based off of that.
But the thing is that all of this was maybe not the best depiction, but it was at least an attempt to show rounded and meaningful depictions by having characters who reacted to situations, who fronted for their ethnicity on some level. You know, they were vested in the interests of that group. But were first and foremost heroes. They did not require a specific book setting aside for them that they could be the Native American hero.
Well, this isn't a book, again.
Well, because here's the thing. What Marvel was not, what Marvel doesn't do, is Apache Chief. That's a DC problem. They're not Chuck.
But here's the thing. This isn't an actual book with these characters, because that would be at least moderately interesting.
It's just pictures and art, right?
Yeah. And now they, however, have done that with the Asian book characters. They gave all the Asians a book because they're trying to sell books in Japan, the Philippines, and Korea.
See, I can give an example of why that doesn't work. Spider-Man
didn't work.
No. Spider-Man is very popular in Japan.
Yes.
During that narrow window when Marvel
Japanese
tried to do...
Spider-Man is very popular in Japan.
No. They actually have a manga of Spider-Man that's hugely popular in Japan.
No. Here's the thing. Spider-Man is popular in Japan. He was in Kamen Rider, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Marvel tried to do Marvel manga about 20 years ago now, their Spider-Man failed because it wasn't Peter Parker. It was some Spider-Man who was basically a ninja scroll and had a ninja family with ninja bullshit. You know what Marvel manga did really well in Japan? Punisher. Because they didn't fuck with it. They didn't mess it up. Frank Castle was Frank Castle. Frank Castle killed Yakuza. The Japanese were down with it. Right? Because one was a real book, and the other one was insultingly ethnic. It was trying to pander to an ethnicity, because Japanese people can't not read about Japanese things, supposedly.
Before you get too far off the rails, let me go through the actual article and the actual issues here.
Well, sure.
Because first off, why the fuck is Good Morning America talking about Marvel Comics?
Because it's owned because it's produced by ABC, which is owned by Disney.
Yep.
Okay. Indigenous heroes have been historically underrepresented in the comic world. Again, as the discussion we've just had proves, not so much. Maybe they haven't been overrepresented, but they haven't been underrepresented either, I wouldn't say.
Well, I want to talk about that last character on that list, but I'll wait till after you're done.
Also, here's a question: why isn't Gateway in there? Why are we only focused on the indigenous people of North America? And also, why are we only focusing on the indigenous people of the United States, not the indigenous people of Canada, and including any of the indigenous characters from Alpha Flight and Beta Flight?
I hate the character, but let's mention it. What about Dust?
Yeah.
You know, everyone forgets about Dust, especially in current year politics, where everyone's like, no Islamophobia. It's like, wait a minute, you have a mutant who wears the burqa because she respects her culture, even though I think it's stupid. What the fuck?
But that's not an indigenous person, though. That's a minority, though. But that's the minority that gets put into an Asian book, which is an actual book, versus a, hey, we have diverse characters. Honest, you guys.
Yeah.
So let's use the United States as an example, because Australia gets a little bit more complicated. The percentage of Native Americans is 2%. So we've mentioned how many Native American characters?
Before we get too far
let's
off,
not autistically mathematically calculate this out. Let's read the article.
I want to hear what Church has got.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Marvel's Voices is setting out to change the narrative and release their Heritage #1 comic. Marvel Voices Heritage #1, I think they fucked up the quotes there, is a one-shot comic that spotlights some of Marvel's indigenous superheroes. So let's pause there. It's a one-shot, so the indigenous characters that are criminally underrepresented, according to Marvel, they deserve one book. They deserve one anthology. They deserve an annual. That's what Marvel is telling you.
And it's an anthology, so like we're gonna see like maybe 3-4 pages for Red Wolf.
Well, no, you have to remember. This is a compromise because they tried this in a different way previously and are really confused about why it didn't work. Because there was a book by a avowed racist called Black Panther and the Crew, which was, hey, let's have black character with black characters in a black character team doing black thing.
Is that
in New York?
How many VCRs got stolen?
Is that where they made Storm and Black Panther get married because both black characters?
No, that was just in straight up Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing: the Black Panther and the Crew didn't sell, and it got canceled real fast. And they were like, "But why didn't they like it? It was representative
because it wasn't Luke Cage,
and because it sucked."
Also, they were fighting the police.
I would believe a comic book called Luke Cage and the Crew, where he took a gang of reformed gang members and turned them to a life of vigilante justice and made them street level people to stop like
why not just call that Heroes for Hire?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, that's what you do.
But you rebrand that idea that worked so well in the 80s and 90s. You rebrand that idea and you call it Luke Cage and the Crew, and you do make it a racially charged comic book that makes a positive impact on black characters with an overarching story arc. Hold on. With an overarching story arc about how a father figure changed these young men's lives and made them better people.
Since we're writing Disney, Marvel's...
Well, hold on. I just have one thing. Disney, if you're listening, we'll buy Marvel comics off you for $6.73.
But while we're doing Marvel's writing for them, you compound it, right? Because everyone's going to suspect all your antagonists are white, right? It's going to be black versus white. No, don't do that. No, have Luke Cage and the Crew be in conflict with Heroes for Hire and Misty Knight. Because Misty Knight currently runs Heroes... Yeah, because Misty Knight currently runs Heroes for Hire, and she's a former cop. So you have a street-level badass with a crew of former gangbangers doing good, and they're coming into collision with former cop doing good for pay.
You give him the old Batman versus the cops antagonism while they're both going towards the same goal of taking crime off the streets.
Right.
They're at odds with one another.
Right, and then you play up that it's a crime drama, not a superhero drama, so they're actually dealing with, like, street-level real problems as allegory for other problems.
Yeah.
And that's the book where you deal with the school shooting.
Anyway,
right.
Moving on.
But here's the... Yeah, carry on.
Let's go ahead. All right.
Yeah.
Through high-octane art, Indigenous and First Nation artists and writers come together to tell 4 exhilarating stories... that dive into indigenous characters of the past, present, and future.
Do you mean press F to pay respects?
No, press X to doubt.
Press S to spit.
Oh.
Sean Biel, the acclaimed Navajo artist, is making his Marvel comic debut as the head artist to A Friend in Need, starring River, one of Marvel's newest indigenous superheroes.
That's what this is all about. We don't have faith in our extant character to succeed, so please suck up to this to this book and get interested in next product.
Well,
Hey,
okay.
don't forget they also have Discount Captain America from the, hey, we're going to throw a bunch of people who are inspired by Captain America.
That's just Rajas coming.
I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Because we got to address the other end of the spectrum.
Bael, speaking for all Native Americans, said, "As a people, we are very artistic, and I think we can create our own characters and create our own stories."
Oh, really? Because, I have a friend who's a Native American from the Southwest, and even though he wasn't raised specifically Native American, he can tell you a good story about how the various tribes don't get along and have nasty things to say about each other. It's not a unified nation.
Like the Navajo and the Apache.
Yeah.
I don't see why Hollywood or pop culture always has to go outside of our culture to create them when we are still here and still alive. I don't know. Maybe because the last time I was down on the reservation, all you motherfuckers were on your porches drinking Jack Daniels on your government checks.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
hold on.
Because when we try to bring their stories to a broader light, we're accused of cultural appropriation.
Well, can I make a bit of a dissenting point here? I don't hate the concept of this new character named River. I mean, how many times have we talked about on this show how they need to stop taking like white characters or straight characters and making them gay or black or trans?
No.
At least
don't go to bat for something you haven't seen to the end yet.
No, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying the story without seeing it is good.
Hold on, Ayrton. You might just find out that you're still getting what you asked for.
Hey, the thing of it is, I don't think anyone actually has a problem with new characters. That's laudable. It's the methodology
why we
of
have problems
introduction.
with new characters in a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway,
proceed, Church.
Yeah.
Bael has been a comic purist since childhood. X to doubt. Bael said he was frowned upon in art school for having an interest in comics and anime. But X to doubt again. But now he sees it. Yeah, I can see all the Trump supporters in the liberal art school ragging on you for liking anime. There was definitely no one in your art classes that wore cat ears, you cocksucking liar.
and the fucking Naruto bracelet
and headband, yeah.
Considering that every art class I was in, there was at least one guy doing comic art who was better than me. I absolutely do not believe.
Every art class I was in from the time that I was in high school, somebody did the Naruto run to, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
God, you're making me feel old.
But no. Anyway. Now he sees his opportunity with Marvels as an inspiration for younger artists, especially for those of his culture, to stay true to themselves in the art they create. Bael hopes to release indigenous superhero comic that is created in the future that shows the beauty of his culture. See, I don't have a problem with something like that. What I do have a problem with is, why does this have... Oh, they do put Forge in it. Okay, I'm looking at the cover. They do put Forge in it. I'm not sure who the chicken wings is. Looks like Forge's daughter is with him. That's nice.
Because Forge's daughter is going to be all about the science and STEM education and be better at science than her dad. That's going to be the story for those two.
I've got to say, whoever did
the cover does look
pretty
cool.
good.
I mean, to be fair, Forge was kind of a dipshit. Like, always has.
Forge was never a good character.
Oh no, he's a perfectly good character. He just wasn't like
he was a great character in the X-Men animated series. He had 3 lines, and he always sent Bishop back in time to the right spot.
Yeah, my interpretation is
Miss Reno. We have no idea what her powers are yet.
Oh.
We're trying to figure that out. If this article will actually tell us what this article's supposed to tell us, we'll find out. But
well, the article is telling us what it's supposed to tell us. We're doing another soulless anthology series It's going to urinate all over the Native American characters that were previously created because they weren't created by Native Americans.
I'm just skimming
But
through.
they were drawn by
any
Native American.
explanation of who Rivers is. Ayrton, do your thing and see if you can find
I'll
a rundown on Rivers. We'll skip the rest of this soulless fucking marketing for obvious tokenism.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's marketing for the new character. That's what this is for, right? And that's the thing. Relative to what you were saying, Ayrton.
Well, they didn't do that with the Black Anthology, and they didn't do that with the Gay Anthology.
But I'm just saying, the issue here is not the new character getting spread. That's fine. It's that it had to be a ethno-anthology specifically for some reason. The other facet that I wanted to talk about while you're looking stuff up, Church, is you keep mentioning Rajas.
Yes.
I just want to be clear. The Forerunner, because that's a better name than fucking Rajas.
The Forerunner actually sounds like something that a Native American tribe would call him. Right.
Is a blonde-haired white guy displaced from time.
Hey, have you never read the Book of Mormon?
You know, I like to read fiction.
Yeah, so have you never read the Book of Mormon?
I like to, no. I like to read good fiction.
I mean, the Book of Mormon.
What part of Magic Underwear doesn't tell you it's going to be good fiction?
I've heard that the Book of Mormon plagiarized from a good fiction book that was contemporary of its.
Oh, wow. Miss Rena apparently read the new Echo comic, and it's basically setting up a Dark Phoenix saga with a character who's a callous sociopath that can't control the Phoenix Force. That sounds
Echo murdered a guy
wonderful.
And threatened to kill her friends and random people who were trying to help her. IDK why they gave her the Phoenix Force.
Wait a minute, is this the one who killed the convenience store guy for turtles?
No, that's a different sociopath that's being exemplified in the X-Men books.
Okay, because my issue with
since Hickman's run, all the X-Men are sociopaths now.
Well, because what I wanted to bring up before we get into sociopaths and X-Men is the thing is we're always hearing about white savior, the trope of the white savior, how inappropriate the white savior is, how we need to let people of ethnicity save themselves, right? And yet Neil Gaiman, the avowed super feminist, right, who's on the good boy list.
So real quick, all I've found so far from Marvel.com is River is going to have some sort of connection to Echo, and it says, let's see, is he a hero or villain? Check out Phoenix Song Echo to find out. So,
but
we don't really know yet.
So Neil Gaiman wrote this book called, what is it, 1610, 1601? I think it's 1601.
1601.
1601.
Right.
About what? So that they don't have him writing a version of that book called 1619.
about what if the Marvel characters were Age of Exploration characters, right? He very clearly wanted to just do a book about the plight of Jews in Europe at the time, right? And decided that the linchpin to his setting is a literal white savior.
Well, yeah, I mean, look who saved the Jews in the other story.
Because only a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy can be an indigenous American named Captain America. That's fucking genius.
Miss Rena says that's Nature Girl. She's basically Poison Ivy, but without the plant element.
Yeah. That's the sociopath who the X-Men only stopped because they realized it would be bad publicity.
This is why I make superheroes who beat people up in my comic, because I grievously want to harm characters, not their creators.
Right.
It's like, did you try to kill a dude in a convenience store for littering?
I just want to point out, guys, that we just looked at an article on the Good Morning America website, a super normie website, a website that, somebody that loves Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg cooking show is going to look at.
Who doesn't love that show?
I mean, I gotta drizzle my nizzle.
That's right. So we just read an article on one of the biggest platforms that an up-and-coming writer could hope to ever be featured on. And they had an opportunity to say, hey, I have
with
this stunning, exciting new
suburban
character.
housewives.
Who do you think makes the spending decisions in most homes in America, Ayrton?
All right, fair enough.
Clearly, the suburban Sasquatches that
If
work
you
from
give
home.
those suburban housewives the opportunity to indoctrinate their kids with a story about an indigenous character who is the antithesis to a white savior, and you give a compelling background, to that character, and you introduce them in this article as an exclusive, which is the biggest platform you're going to get for this kind of shit because it's not niche. It's Good Morning fucking America. But you don't even introduce the character. You name drop them, and then you tell us nothing about it.
Right,
That's the
because
biggest
they're not
crime of
selling
that
that
article to
character,
me.
Actually, they're actually not selling the character with that.
No, I know he's not selling the character because they didn't tell you shit about it. They just name dropped it.
That was not Marvel's intention ever. Marvel's intention ever was like, guys, we totally have lots of Native American characters. We're going to feature, I don't know, 8, maybe 9 of them. I'm sure we have more characters than that, but our interns can't be bothered to actually do that work and find out.
It makes me want to go back to Rune's initial example and say, Super Friends Apache Chief was a better Native American character.
No, that's just it. No, see, the offensiveness here is that Apache Chief is a terrible fucking character from a terrible book because Super
What do you
Friends
mean?
was...
What do you mean? He's Giant Man without any scientific background.
Except he goes in a shark because Native America. It's terrible. It's a terrible depiction of Native America.
No,
right?
It's not. It's on brand. They're drunk on Jack Daniels on their porch. And they
if it was a terrible depiction about him,
feet tall.
Yeah, if it was a terrible depiction of him, he would grow 50 feet tall by drinking a bunch of Jack Daniels and smoking crystal meth.
No, then he's just Snoop Dogg. But the thing is,
Snoop Dogg smokes weed. What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
it's Snoop Dogg. I'm pretty sure he does all the things.
No, it's pretty much just weed.
My point is though, is that Marvel had a history, a reputation even, for qualitative depictions of ethnicity, whereas DC had this much more antiquated, back-asswards trend, right? And they're fucking that. Marvel is fucking up their own legacy of quality by being not qualitative.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard. Just don't be stupid. That's
pretty hard for Marvel.
No. Let me put it this way. It's like you won the race, okay? You succeeded. They're handing you the trophy, and then rather than take the trophy, you take 5 steps back while the other guys are still running up to catch the line.
That's just because you want to come in third place so you can do all that awesome shit in the meme.
I mean, there is potentially that.
Yeah, I tried to do some more digging. I can't find anything else on this character.
Well, yeah, I guess think Miss Rina's probably gotten the best things in the character, and Miss Rina has become a dedicated fan of ours, so we appreciate you showing up here consistently.
We do.
I mean, we appreciate you. We're also terribly sorry.
I'm also still interested in your book. I still want to talk to you about it. It looks awesome.
Well, here's the here's the reason that I'm interested in talking about why new characters are awful. So I'm gonna pull this article up. You guys can vamp for a minute and continue bitching. But
oh, which article? So I can actually know what we're talking about.
I'll pull it up. It's not an article per se. It was a post that had a screenshot of an article on it.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
The one about next Batman shouldn't be Robin, but Batgirl's Cassandra Cain?
No. This is this is the one about Green Lanterns.
Oh, that one. Okay, I know.
The bait and switch.
The Far Sector's Green Lantern proves herself as the Corps' new leader.
But
Yeah,
why
that's
he
from
gets that
Screen
pulled?
Rant because there wasn't a link. I'll post it in the chat for you guys.
Yeah.
But while he gets that pulled up, can we just go back to talking about the whole like they're actually creating a new original character? Whether it turns out good or not, it's still better than making like Captain America gay or giving
Well, I mean-
Captain America to Sam Wilson. That's
You
still
see-
overall a better move to make an entirely new character than making like Colossus a Native American.
Oh, absolutely.
I-
but the thing is they didn't sell the character. Like that's the problem.
Right, but I don't think that they're selling the character. They're selling the fact that they're a diverse company to get better ESG ratings in Disney's bonds.
Well, here's why I don't like new characters.
Because you're
Our
old and
Sector's
crotchety?
Green Lantern no. Our Sector's Green Lantern proves herself as the Corps' new leader. The Green Lantern Corps is nearly destroyed. Far Sector's Joe Mullion, who is apparently a human, I believe, who
Yeah.
is a part of the Far Sector that we've never heard of,
Mhm.
has to prove herself to the surviving officers as their new leader. Because, Jon Stewart wasn't an option for your diversity count.
Well, I think she's in the future.
You mean the comedian?
No.
No.
Oh.
Well, actually, I do have a trading card of him as a Green Lantern from a Comic Con that I went to.
Of course you do. That's
I thought it was hilarious. I had to buy it.
No, I would too.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
In the latest issue of DC's Green Lantern Far Sector, Joe Mullen proves herself to her fellow Lanterns as a new leader with a near complete destruction of the Green Lantern Corps, the Guardian, and the Central Power Battery. Joe is one of the few Lanterns left who still has a charged power ring. As a result, she assumed command of the Green Lantern Corps despite her unfamiliarity with Oa. So,
Wait, what?
Yeah.
hold
Despite her
on.
unfamiliarity.
Read that sentence again.
It's not going to make more sense if Church reads it again.
I'll read it again. Joe is one of the few Lanterns who still has a charged power ring. As a result, she's assumed command of the Green Lantern Corps despite her unfamiliarity with Oa, the Green Lantern Corps' home base planet. That better?
So
did you catch it that time?
So this whole story has to take place over the course of 24 Earth hours?
This new issue sees her forced to defend the new role that she has neither wanted nor asked for. Then give it to who wants it. Bitch, you got 24 hours before your ring dies out.
Give it to Guy Gardner. He'll do a better job.
He'll turn into Warrior and make another shitty comic book that nobody wants to read, but at least it'll make sense.
And be entertaining.
They also made Guy a Red Lantern for a bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've talked about that before. Guy has a lot of problems.
That's why I like him.
Given that he's one of the few people that could actually overcome the Red Lantern ring. Given the position of her former jurisdiction of its great distance away from Oa and the Central Power Battery, Joe Mullen's power ring is specifically modified that it wouldn't need to be recharged by traditional lantern.
Oh, of course.
That she's not as strong as a standard ring. However,
get fucked.
This meant that her ring didn't lose its charge like all the others when an unknown threat blew up the Lantern's Central Power Battery. Pro tip, it's probably Sinestro again. In a massive
Hold up. It could be Parallax.
Which is just Sinestro again.
So wait. So her ring's modified, so it doesn't need to be charged. Why don't they modify
the
all
Alpha
the other
Lanterns? You guys remember the Alpha Lanterns that took pills?
I do.
Yeah.
They took pills for their powers.
Like Church does.
Yeah.
Also, why don't
taking pills, smoking powders,
Yeah, why don't the Green Lantern's power rings just charge off of the stars?
As we have now brought this up, I would like to have a moment of silence for our Lord and Savior, Saint Snowflame.
Well,
no, hold on. I have another question.
Charging their rings off of the stars or whatever. Why don't they call in the backup of the Indigo Lanterns, the Blue Lanterns, the Star Sapphires?
Because they're the Care Bear cousin lanterns. Nobody likes them.
Can't the Blue Lanterns power up and recharge green lanterns?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but nobody gives a shit about them.
Right. Can't
Except
somebody
for
just
my
go
friend
and
Ty.
Can't somebody just go and whip the shit out of Larfreeze and deputize a bunch of motherfuckers as Orange Lanterns so they get this resolved?
Or, how does she take control of the Green Lantern Corps if all the rings are... There's no Green Lantern Corps if all the rings can't be recharged.
Right.
What the fuck? I'm
Yeah.
so confused.
Right.
Well, like it's because there are space cops, right? You don't have to use your gun to be a cop. You
kind of do.
What
really
if the
do.
cops didn't use their guns, though, right?
Okay.
Wouldn't things be better? Wheedle them out.
Oh, okay. They don't necessarily don't necessarily have to use their guns, but their guns should have
I know you've all read
ammunition.
Green. Hold on. I know you guys have all read Green Lantern books, right? Have you ever read a Green Lantern book on weed?
Well, look,
You know what? Now I'm going to for the next show.
Look, we all know the real answer, and the real answer is that political extremists want to replace the Green Lanterns with the Manhunters because they think that robots that just automatically oppress people is better than space cops that only grab you if you're doing a bad.
Look, that would be too based, RuneKnight. They'll never do that at DC. If DC wanted to do that, Ethan Van Sciver would still work there, and we wouldn't have the show.
I stopped being invested in Green Lanterns though once Jeff Johns introduced the Care Bear cousin lanterns.
Why does she have Why does she have 90s Missy Elliott glasses?
Well, hold on, real quick. To Larry's point, I actually enjoyed the introduction of the Care Bear cousins. What I didn't like is the direction the Brightest Day arc took. Because you just make a Mary Sue out of it, right? Like, anything that ever happens to the Green Lantern mythos, we can just resolve by breaking these white rings out again, right?
Well, the white rings become the Phoenix Force for Lantern. Is the basic problem.
And the Phoenix Force is terrible.
It is.
Wait, I have another question.
It's a one-time thing. You can do it once. After you do it once, you just put it away. You put it in the bottom of the toy box. You can bring it back in 10 years just for old time's sake, but you put it away. It's not a toy that you get to continuously play with. I
still have another question. Is Hal Jordan still around?
He's back.
Of course he is.
Okay. Is
there still money being printed at the Mint, Ayrton?
I'm just double checking. I don't know. Isn't he canonically the Lantern with the most willpower? Couldn't he just will her ring off of her?
He's also canonically the Spectre, you cocksucker.
And he was also a supervillain, and he was also dead. Now he's not.
That's why I asked if he was still around. Wait, what about Alan Scott?
He's also still around.
He's still around, even though
he's died like 3 times. Did he die of AIDS at one point?
No, that was Earth 2 Alan Scott.
Oh, okay.
And he absorbed his Green Lantern powers into his body.
Right. So he's
into
now
his
technically they call him the Starheart now, I think.
Yeah.
But why isn't he here leading the Lantern Corps? He probably has more experience.
Because he has Green Lantern penis to put in other men.
No, that was again only Earth 2 Alan Scott.
Well, here's the thing. You mentioned earlier, what about Jon Stewart? Okay? And I can tell you why they can't use Jon Stewart. In the first, Jon Stewart is quote-unquote too old because people remember the Justice League cartoon and liked his character there, but that was 10 years ago or more. That's
also,
that's
a different character than the one
Hal
in the comic books.
Hal Jordan's like 110 years old.
No, that's the point. That's the point. They need new Lantern. Right?
No, they don't.
But
no, they don't. At one point, Earth had like 15 of them.
No. I know they don't, but that is the corporate mindset. We need a new Lantern for a new gen, because nobody's going to read the old Lantern because that's old.
We need a new Green Lantern with blackjack and hookers.
Right. But here's the other thing, and this is the thing that I find very interesting.
Have green brass knuckles?
This is the thing that I find both interesting and sad. Okay?
Okay.
The reason they can't have Jon Stewart, in my opinion, is he's the wrong kind of African American. Now, what do I mean by that? He's an
Yes, Rune, what do you mean by that? You take it?
I know what you mean by that, but continue.
He's an honorable, dignified man who is not street enough for the quote-unquote urban market. They need
here's
something
what's hilarious. The one from the 70s was.
Sure, but that's the 70s. That's old. They need
Right.
a new Green Lantern who's both hip and with it and awesome and a girl and street, but not Jon Stewart.
Give the ring back to Black Canary.
Black Canary's white.
Yeah.
But she has black in her name, so it's okay.
No, this is literally a combination of bad corporate decision-making for marketing and bad corporate decision-making because they want to address perceived racisms.
I got to step away for a few minutes, but I'm going to keep my ears on.
Okay.
You gentlemen, I'm just going to drop the name Jade in there and walk away.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. So, but with Far Sector, let me just look here at this because I just want to double check who actually made that.
Well, while you do that, I'm gonna read through some more of this article after I figure out where Church left off. Okay.
I guess we've come back strong.
However, Green Lantern number 8 from Jeffrey Thorne, Crisscross, and Marco Santucci sees Joe having to deal with unrest from her fellow officers. Without their rings powers, the Lanterns want access to Oa's weapons vault. Distrusting the United Planets Coalition Joe has been working with since the central power battery was destroyed. Furthermore, Joe's leadership is called into question, seeing as she's a relative newcomer. No fuck! As she never had to come to Oa before this current crisis. However, Joe defends her new role as core leader quite well. Oh, I'm sure she does. Does one of you guys want to read the quote from the one one panel?
Because this isn't any good. And
Larry, read it. Do it.
Where's the article we're looking at here?
Oh, it's in the Twitter chat.
All right, give me a second.
Church just posted it.
Give me a second. Also, this was a comic created by one creator of this character. So I thought this was actually Bendis garbage.
Right? Surprisingly not.
I don't believe this was the Benz.
It was not.
I'm
the entire Green Lantern's core and Oa's governor and Oa's representative on the UP Council. I didn't ask for it, damn it. But I didn't want it. But I'm the one doing it because I was the only one of us still standing when the power battery went down. So in other words, she stands up because she has a gun.
Yeah,
that's an interesting message.
I was going to say,
in the communist utopia, she's the only one with a gun. Go ahead, Rune.
I was going to say, let's see if I've lost it now. Yeah, no, it's gone.
Okay, I'll keep reading. Joe lets the surviving Lanterns know exactly who she is in this issue. And it's incredible. Powerful moment. Oh, and it's an incredibly powerful moment. God, I cannot read. I'm retarded.
For me to on.
Presently, she's operating as the entire active core while attempting to lead those who survive. All while trying to figure out why the attack happened.
For future reference, I'm just going to start referring to Bendis as the Benz.
So in other words, you're saying the only way to deal with Bendis is that you should be in a container.
Yeah.
Underwater.
Yeah. You can read Bendis.
Like a mile underwater.
You can read Bendis, but it's going to take you like a half hour to 20 minutes to recover so you can get back to what you're doing.
See, she hasn't become a leader because she wants to. Joe Mullen Mullion is leading the Corps because there's virtually no one else available with a working power ring to do so. She doesn't. Alan Scott.
But let's go to a related bit of stupid.
Okay.
I also posted it. It's the same sort of clickbait marketing. The next Batman shouldn't be Robin, but Batgirl's Cassandra Cain. No, we should have a good Cassandra Cain comic book with her as Batgirl, because she's a good character who doesn't deserve to be shit on.
Well, no, I would say have Cassandra Cain replace shitty Batwoman.
Yes, but Batman has plenty of partners who could fill his shoes, but nobody, including the Robins, is as worthy a successor as Cassandra Cain's Batgirl.
You're both.
With an
You're
army
both
of
wrong.
Wait. How exactly is that? I mean,
You're
yeah,
both
her
wrong.
daddy was a murderer who taught her how to murder people, but she was only Batgirl for a limited time during fucking No Man's Land, and her character got sidelined so fast that her head's still spinning. How exactly did she earn getting to be Batman's protege?
No. You know what you do? You take the idea of the Huntress, right? You put it in a blender. You blend it up until it's like a midnight purple, and then you put her
like
in
the Huntress's costume,
and you put her in full ninja garb. No bat ears, no bat symbol, no utility belt, no connection to Batman whatsoever.
At least
you make the name of the book.
Spray, though.
No. You make the name of the book Cain, and you put it out.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And you make it a black label book because Cassandra's going to be, straight up.
She's going to murder motherfuckers.
Kills. Yeah, like she's going to snap somebody.
Repellent.
No, she's going to snap somebody's arm, and you're going to see the bone and the sinew and all that stuff in the art. That'd be sick and awesome.
Oh, and
that's why DC wouldn't do it.
Oh, and if you want to make it interesting, if we're talking about things that won't happen, if you want to make it interesting, make her primary antagonist fucking Bane.
Well, no, you make her primary antagonist Lady Shiva because Lady Shiva was her mother.
I don't know. I've seen that shit a lot, and it's always stupid to me. It's like, I have to fight you, Mom.
Actually, Rune, I'm kind of with Larry on this. The first 12 issues of the Black Label comic is her mother trying to bring her into her enterprise as Lady Shiva.
Listen. You're murdering for good reasons. I want you to murder for regular reasons.
I'm not done. Her mother's trying to bring her in by using her father as bait, almost. By luring her in, by capturing and subjugating her father. And Cassandra Cain's first mission is to actually break in and free her father and fight her mother to free her father. And her father realizes that, just being an assassin for hire maybe wasn't the right way.
Well, let's just make sure we don't turn her into Arrowette Light. Okay.
Yeah, you don't turn her into Speedy and give her a heroin addiction.
Why not?
Hey, fentanyl's very topical, Church.
Fentanyl is very topical. You put Iceman on it and take care of that problem really quickly.
I thought you injected fentanyl. I didn't know it was a topical.
No. I thought
it actually
you
is.
gave Iceman. I thought you gave Iceman Rohypnol, and then he woke up and was gay.
Jesus Christ, Rune.
Let's continue with drugs. After Batgirl and Batman are dosed with Dr. Death's aggression-inducing drug Soul. That's a terrible name from a marketing standpoint for a drug that makes you want to murder people. You should work on that, Dr. Death. It should be something like, Mortis. That sounds like a cool death-related drug. The two master fighters begin trading blows at an alarming speed.
I'm not letting my kids die. I'm somebody that thought I could fix this, and I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbor. I'm going to haul him up by a chain. I will eat.
Thank you. This is perfect, Eric.
All right.
I'm going to eat your ass.
Their battle takes them across Gotham as the pair come at each other with everything they have, with neither side really breaking a sweat. Eventually, their death match takes them to the Sprang Bridge, where an exploding gasoline tanker snaps the Bat family members back into their right minds and into the Gotham River below.
No, you should have stopped when it snapped a Bat family members back, and then we would have just had a revisit of the Bane and Azrael, which was actually good.
Wait. Wait, it gets even stupider. As the two wash ashore, they hold each other as Cass explains that the only physical contact she's ever had with her birth father, David Kane, was violence. Finally, Bruce asks her where her loyalties truly lie between him, Barbara, and David. Cass simply points at the bat symbol.
But wait, that was already resolved. We already know where her loyalties lie and do not lie.
Right, but you see, we're talking about the...
Oh wait, old books, of course.
And also, hack writers can't, come up with new things that build on existing things. No, not you. This, providing that, like Bruce, she understands that Batman isn't just his identity. That's wrong. Batman is 100% his identity. It's a symbol of justice for those in need. No, it's 100% Bruce's identity. That's one thing that has been fairly consistent until recently that they had right. Bruce Wayne doesn't exist. It never existed. He got killed with his parents in Murder Alley, and that was when Batman was born.
Excuse me, it's Crime Alley, where a murder took place. It's not Murder Alley.
Oh, Murder Alley's like 2 streets over. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's where the Joker committed his first crime. Which
it's Murder Alley in the Murder District in Murder Town, which is a suburb of Gotham City.
This is just one instance of the reverence that Batgirl holds for the Batman legacy. Nobody cares about the Batman legacy. That's really dumb. And it's just one reason why she's the logical choice for the mantle. No, that's stupid. It's 100% dumb.
Yes, excuse me. Good boy. My mom has decided now is the time to make noise.
So what do you think about this nonsense, Church?
I think that DC should move forward with my my Black Label Kane book.
Because that sounds awesome.
I'll buy DC for $13.43.
Oh yeah, don't you know? No, I think that the proper way to reintroduce the Cassandra Cain, I think Batman needs to die. I think Batman needs to go away for about 5 years. You could have imitation Batmans, kind of like you did in Nolan's Batman, where you got people dressing up in hockey pads and Halloween costumes trying to reignite the symbol of the bat and showing how Gotham City really needs the Batman, while you have an ongoing Nightwing title where he moves back to Gotham from Bloodhaven to patrol the streets in the absence of his old mentor. I think you have Tim Drake wandering around.
You have a scene where Tim Drake and Jason Todd and Dick Grayson play rock paper scissors to determine who gets to be Batman while Bruce is gone.
No, I think we've seen that, and I think that
it's always been Dick.
No, I understand that, and I think what needs to happen again is that Batman needs to die. Like Batman just gets caught with a stray bullet and dies. Kind of like you guys probably don't watch Supernatural.
I have.
Okay.
I actually have only seen like a couple episodes. Like I saw the Scooby-Doo episode.
Okay, well here's the thing.
That one's entertaining.
Supernatural went for 15 seasons, and these motherfuckers fought demons. They beat God several times. They fought tricksters like Loki. They bested the archangels. They outsmarted and then befriended Lucifer, and then like raised his child to become the new god. And then a vampire takes one of them out just out of the blue. I think that's what needs to happen to Batman. He just fucking slips up one day and takes a bullet, and then the death of Batman happens out of nowhere.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
In issue 14 of an ongoing series that isn't titled Batman, it's called Gotham City Streets or some shit like that. And Nightwing moves back to Gotham from Bloodhaven to patrol the streets in the absence of his mentor.
Warner Brothers, $13.43.
Red Robin picks up some of the slack. You might switch him to Bloodhaven to pick up Nightwing slack. Whatever. You get a couple of books out of it. You keep the Bat Family books going, but nobody picks up the mantle of Batman because we all see what happens when that went down. And then one day, Damian Wayne turns fucking 20 years old. And Alfred looks at him and says, "It's time." and then he picks up the mantle of the Bat. That's okay, but that's 5 years down the road. Okay? So you get 5 years without a Batman, and then you get a fresh restart with a group of people who don't have a predisposition to a Bruce Wayne Batman.
So, the next story completes the trifecta of Screen Rant articles about how modern comics writers are terrible people and don't understand everything. Superman's decision not to fight in World War II is his greatest failure. So let's talk like grown-ups for a minute. We all know why
No.
Superman never fought in World War II. So, Ayrton, you may not know
Yeah.
the history of the comics in question, but do you know why back in the 30s and 40s, the writers of Detective Comics said, in Action Comics, said, we're not doing this with Superman. He's not going to go fight in the war.
Because Captain America had already punched Adolf Hitler in the face.
No,
Yeah.
that wasn't why they made that decision. Because there were going to be actual people who are going to be reading their actual comics, who are going to be fighting in the actual war. And it would be inappropriate to those people to trivialize their stories by having Superman just go in and destroy a Nazi tank column.
But Cap did it.
Not really that much.
They did it in The Boys, though.
They did it in The Boys, but The Boys is terrible.
Shut your whore mouth.
Them's fighting words. I dare you to cross over this line.
There we go again. Speaking facts.
Look,
The Boys isn't good. It's not even good for, it was Garth Ennis who wrote The Boys, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not even the best grim, dark superhero story Garth Ennis has ever written.
DC Superman was perhaps just as patriotic as Marvel's own Captain
need to switch
America.
to bourbon.
You might. I'm 4 scotches in. Me and Larry are about to go outside.
So Larry, tell us more about why The Boys is terrible.
But this is the same reason. This is the same reason why Captain America didn't fight the Viet Cong, because Stan Lee realized that there were actual Marvel Comics readers who were in Vietnam being shot at by the Viet Cong, and it would be incredibly insensitive to those people to trivialize what they're experienced by having Captain America decapitate Ho Chi Minh and put his head on a stick.
Can I just say this piece of art where one of the soldiers in World War II is carrying, I guess that's Sergeant Rock, right?
Yeah, that's 100% Sergeant Rock.
He's carrying Superman over his shoulders. Is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So, I just ask a question. If we're actually going to talk about how the Boys is terrible, can you explain to me how this correlates to Secret Wars, because that is also terrible, or perhaps how it relates to Treebeard and his obsession with fish dick?
I can tell you how Rune and Larry got kicked off the show in one fell swoop, talking shit about things that I enjoy.
Before you guys continue, let me take my pants off for this.
Hold on.
Aaron's been beaten off to be the only co-host again.
Remember, I do like the Jerry Curl Messiah that is the Beyonder.
Hey, but here's the thing. I just mentioned, if we were going to also relate this to Treebeard and his obsession with fish penis, and Ayrton's taking off his pants.
That's why Ayrton's beating off, so that when I fire you, it's over an Alan Moore joke.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Ayrton clearly is just now comfortable with himself that he really wants to be, double dicked by a fish dick and Alan Moore. It's okay.
Look, after so many years of this show, how do you not get hard hearing about fish penis?
I mean, if you guys are going to go in on The Boys and Secret Wars, I'll be Kanye West for the rest of the show. I love fish sticks.
DC Superman was perhaps just as patriotic as Marvel's own Captain America, so why did the character not fight in World War II? The Man of Steel may not have been created in response to a war. Action Comics #1 debuted in 1938, a full year before Hitler invaded Poland. But the character was firmly on the side of the Americans, selling war bonds, boosting the morale in a way that only a comic book superhero could. But in Justice League Infinity #5, a variant of Superman actually decides to fight in World War II, and unlike many alternate history scenarios, actually changes the world for the better.
I'm going to press X.
During the golden age of comics, almost every American-based superhero took an active role in World War II.
No, they didn't.
Well, the Justice Society did have a bit where some of them did take place in
you know when those comics were written? Those were comics that were written in the 80s.
Yeah, they were written in the 70s and 80s. I'm aware. But based
people
on
in the actual 1930s didn't write that.
Well, that's because, again, like you said, most of these publishers realized that they were sending these books overseas, and nobody wanted to see how Superman could just walk up to Hitler and knock him out when, my brother just died fighting this war.
Yeah.
Anyway, many would travel overseas to the European and Pacific front, such as Captain America fighting American and others. Superman, along with Batman, notably stayed on the home front, fighting against corrupt politicians, organized crime, and other domestic injustices. Which people don't talk about, but organized crime and things of that nature did actually, flourish in the face of war because they became a supply line.
Oh no, it's entirely true because people they've gotten really used to the cartoon version of the mafia. They don't realize how dangerous the mafia was.
Yeah, why do you think I'm talking like this? See, it's not illegal to talk like this, copper.
Yeah.
Like how Lucky Luciano blew up an American ship to convince the American government that the fascists had spies in New York City and that they had to ally with the mafia, and then he in turn used his prevention of attacks on the New York seaports, which he totally wasn't responsible for at all, to convince the American government they needed to have the mafia be the advance men for the invasion of Sicily, and thus keeping the mafia in power in southern Italy for decades to come.
All you're telling me is I need a St. Luciano necklace because he was the second incarnation of the Boston Tea Party.
I mean, that's why they deported him.
Yep.
He was literally so smooth that they were like, "This guy's too dangerous to be in this country."
This motherfucker's slicker than silk bed sheets.
But to compound that, I just want to mention what I miss. Right back in the dirty days of EC Comics, when comics used to be fun and horror used to be an accepted genre. I miss when superheroes used to just fight the Klan, and I don't mean fight. Modern white supremacists and dudes with burlap sacks. Yeah, no, I mean actually used to be like, there's a superhero on the cover and several half-naked black men about to be lynched, and there's just a leering psychopath in a white hood who's about to pull the rope. I want superheroes to actually fight the Klan.
In Justice League Infinity #5, Superman visits an alternate universe in which a variant Superman actually did participate in World War II to an astonishingly hands-on degree. This Superman fought Hermann Göring and his Nazi regime. Adolf Hitler apparently never existed in this universe, but Göring appears to be his substitute.
So what's the point? What's the point of fighting in World War II without Hitler?
Well, there's another reason as to why Superman didn't participate in World War II, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because his creators were Jewish?
No, there's an actual serious reason.
Because Superman's fake and gay?
No. I mean, do you want me to explain it, or you want to let George finish his article? All right, so before the Kryptonian origin story, which was an add-on to deal with avoiding illegal action, Superman's origins, the original Superman, was the result of chemical alteration, because his origin was lifted from a book called Gladiator.
An excellent book, by the way.
Yeah. Well, in Gladiator, the Superman in that story goes to World War I, right? To use his powers to try and help people, only to discover the absolute horror that being immune to bullets doesn't mean your friends are immune to ricochet. Right?
And just because you could jump all the way across the trench lines to where the artillery is and pull the artillery cannon out, that doesn't actually stop the battle.
Right. And that's the thing, is that logically, this means that Superman would have participated in World War I and seen the ultimate fallacy of, trying to fight an entire human army, no matter how super powerful he is, because it doesn't change the hearts and minds that stop a war. So Superman should have been on the home front, but A, protecting us from aliens and weird super shit, and B, trying to convince us that, hey, maybe the American Nazi Party is a bad fucking idea. Just saying.
But let's take in this comic here. So first of all, this alternate universe Superman that didn't fight in the real World War II, it fought in a fake and gay World War II, is black.
By the way, Church, I appreciate that you have stopped the article right on the ad for another article. This is the most paused movie scenes with a half-naked chick.
That's
We know where your
correct,
mind's at.
Hold up. In mine, it says Christopher Reeve's Superman is reunited with Jor-El in DC sequel comic. So I think you're getting a really bad ad. And so, like in this one, we have regular Superman saying, "You sound awfully eager to take these Nazis on. Wear them on my Earth. Back when I was just starting out, Goring and his boys almost beat us too. Goring, not Hitler. Never heard of any Hitler anyway. After World War II was over, when we learned the full horrors of what happened and the Nazis had unleashed, the nations of the world formed a global government dedicated to peace, and we've been successful too.
Fucking
Sounds like
globalist.
paradise." So did this black Superman destroy communism, or did he let communists win?
No, he let Malcolm X win.
I just
No,
love
this
that.
is bef- this is
I just
before
love that
Malcolm
your role on the show is to read all of the really bad images from comic books and articles at this point.
Well, no, I'm reading this one because this is particularly offensive. We still have our alien invasions and supervillains, but we're on one planet now, one people, and we're created a far better world. How about you?
No. Please read it in the style of 1970s Luke Cage.
Oh.
No, you're good. You're good, Larry.
Oh.
Oh man, I wanted to see that.
I know you did.
But the article does have something important. A possible answer as to why Superman never fought in World War II, the August 26, 1944 issue of Mid-Pacific Armed Forces newspaper, in which Superman creator Jerry Siegel asked this very question, quote, "No comic strip hero can hope to compete with the everyday feats of plain ordinary G.I. Joe. Superman realizes it would be an imposition for him to barge in brazenly and single-handedly win democracy's battle for survival against tyranny and fascism."
Yeah. If he could single-handedly walk in and win it, I'm sure all the soldiers dying on a daily basis would really be pissed off about that.
Which is why we have Captain America.
I mean, Mad Jack Churchill would be.
Bring me a cigar and a large glass of brandy and he'll be fine.
Yeah. On the one hand, this explanation has its roots in respect towards service members insofar as they have no superpowers on which to rely. However, the latter reasoning, that Superman refused to enter the war because nations must earn their own salvation, is American self-sufficiency at its absolute worst. No, that's not what it is. It's that you don't want a strong man to defeat fascism because that literally is fascism. Or when they said about Donald Trump, what Donald Trump said in his Republican acceptance speech in 2016, and only I can stop it. That's why they call Trump a fascist. So which is it? Is fascism bad or is it good?
Fascism is only bad if you're not the one doing the fascism.
Yeah, I was going to say, it depends on who it's against.
So I got to say, these three trash articles have all been strong for us today.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that Thanksgiving break really helps.
The problem with these three trash articles is they all underline a core problem. No, they all underline a core problem. And that comic books have forgotten what they are. Comic books have forgotten that they're an element of escapism and not a virtue signal. Like it doesn't matter, because here's the thing. When I'm scrolling through a back issue bin and I see an issue of Spider-Man that I've never seen before from 1985, I don't hesitate to pick it up and buy it. But if a kid scrolling through a back issue bin and they're looking at the 50 issues of the new Batman #1, where the new Batman is black because diversity, they're probably going to keep scrolling because there's 49 other issues behind.
But you know what that kid could do? He could walk over the next shelf where they have My Hero Academia, and he could read a book that's fun.
We've
and it's
had this
about
conversation
adventure.
already before.
But that's what a real kid would do in that decision.
Here's
A
the
real
thing.
kid. A real kid walks into a shop with comic books and walks over to the counter and buys a pack of Pokemon cards because he has a better chance of pulling money out of it.
Also true.
Well, yes, but
here's the thing. Here's the thing. People want to read a comic in which Captain America punches out Hitler and then goes back to being Captain America, and we all go, man, I wish I could punch out Hitler. Right? Nobody wants to read a book in which a girl defeats Dr. Doom, then artificially just takes over his country, and then turns into a power-mad despot who's no good at it. Because nobody says, I want to rule Liberia.
Speak for yourself,
I'm sure
incel.
several people want to read that book, but nobody wants to pay for it. That's the problem.
Also the book said that Riri Williams was totally justified in what she did.
Right, because taking away the freedom of choice from people who never had a freedom of choice under a despot is totally the right thing to do.
Yeah. And I kind of want to tie this into a comment that came off of a chain of replies that RuneKnight did to the X-Men Thanksgiving from a guy who's a librarian who is one of the biggest, who is the major people that comic books are being written for.
Wait, guys can be librarians?
They can.
Yes.
And in response to, since always.
You've nailed a couple of them, don't worry.
In response to Rune's commentary on the supervillain Thanksgiving, just wait it out. Ever since Morrison, the X books have largely been a series of experimental status quos, often with built-in escape devices to set things back to some variation of the standard. Heck, the whole Moira X concept is pretty much an obvious backdoor. And my response to this...
Those librarians had an obvious backdoor.
Oh!
And to which my response to this person was, what if they were about a status quo that made the X-Men a flagship property again? Because the X-Men comic books are in no way a flagship Marvel property and haven't been for years. You know, the years back when Marvel made money.
Got him! Got him!
Well, because this is the problem. Here's the thing. Well, many years ago, there was this moment in history where Chipper Gore and a bunch of wannabe moral guardians.
Now you're really speaking Ayrton's language.
Are you really bringing up Chipper Gore? This is fantastic.
Yes, I am.
Continue.
They decided that rock music, especially metal, was going to kill people. So they tried to implement censorship mediums.
And Jon Denver said, no, man, that's not cool.
Right. No, it's more than that.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Indeed. The thing is that they saw these scruffy, unwashed metalheads and thought, oh, these guys are going to be stupid. They're going to be easy to handle. Right? Jon Denver said no. Frank Zappa said no. And Dee Snider, who's a bit of a douchebag now, but at the time was a pretty bro-tier guy, went up and said not only no, but here's why no, and fuck you too. And utterly embarrassed.
We're not gonna take it.
No, we're not gonna take it. And in so doing, utterly embarrassed the congressional hearings. The PMRC was a joke.
In full drag, right?
No.
No. He showed up in ugly Dee Snider attire.
But here's the thing. The reason I bring it up, okay, is modern comics, right, want to tell you what you like. They want to tell you what to think. And the response of the reader base is, oh, we'll just wait it out. It doesn't matter. No, it matters. Acquiescence to wait it out is actually the problem. Because not fighting it is the same as buying it at this point. Because if you don't say you don't want it, they just won't listen. They're not listening anyway, but at least if you were being loud and upset, they wouldn't be able to deny it.
So do we want to end with some poop?
I mean, I think we just did, but carry on.
Sure.
Well, we're going to start talking about poop. And by doing that, we're going to start by reading how reality and games accidentally intersected. So, Games Workshop...
Actually, no, we're not. But games is a great ending point. There is one more thing we should carry on this discussion about.
Carry on.
In the show on.
And then we can talk about the poop. Or do we
we'll
want to
talk
save
about the poop
No.
off air.
Aw. The poop is pretty hilarious, though.
No, it's pretty.
You know what else is pretty
dumb.
hilarious? A digital game earning damn near $400,000.
Oh yes, Star Citizen. Yes,
hasn't been released yet.
Yeah,
it has a really glitchy beta,
I
and it is already the most expensive budgeted game ever made.
I know
And it's
people.
not finished.
I know people personally who are still waiting for this thing.
Well,
and
I want to
I've
bring
had
this
arguments
up in
about
honor
them.
of our good friend Matt Mechanical. Because that guy plays Elite Dangerous, which I think if you invested any money in Star Citizen, you should wait for the class action lawsuit, fill out the form, and play Elite Dangerous until then.
But I know people who are still waiting for Star Citizen who have convinced themselves due to sunk cost fallacy that it's not a scam. They're desperate for it to not be a scam, and I'm sorry, it's a fucking scam. They're going to get something eventually, but it ain't going to be half the things they were promised. It's a scam.
Again, it's the great poker player Doyle Brunson had a famous saying: "Don't send good money after bad." And Star Citizen is a penultimate example of don't send good money after bad.
Well, who wants to read this article? I've got it pulled up. I'll scroll along with you. Preferably one of the people who's not as drunk as me.
Well,
so basically leaves it to me and Rue.
I'm not as drunk as you. I've had like 3 beers and I just poured a glass of bourbon, and I'm watching Don Chin just posted a video on YouTube of him spotting a UFO in California.
Well, I just poured the last of my 375 bottle of Bushmills Black Bush into my glass. So
yeah.
Ooh, that's some good shit. I love me some Black Bush.
Cloud Imperium Games has raised an eye-watering $400 million,
not thousand
million for its trading and combat sim Star Citizen game that's now been in development for the better part of a decade. It's pushing 2 decades.
It is pushing.
According to Star Citizen's official website, the game has now generated more than $400 million from fan-raised funds. Despite its community's generosity, however, Cloud Imperium Games is still yet to release a full version of the game, even though it's been crowdfunding the game, started back in 2012. Okay, so it's 8 years, so it's about 10.
Hold on, real quick, Larry. $400 million. How does that compare to an average game development's budget?
Well, you know Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO?
Yeah.
That was $200 million for a complete-ish game.
Okay. What about like a GTA?
I think I saw a thing that said they were like that was like 100
let's
million.
Look at GTA 5, right? Or, no, let's look at GTA 5 and Skyrim. Those are fair comparisons, right?
Okay. How much did
you look up Skyrim? I'll look up GTA.
And me and Rune will sit here and zone out while you guys talk about this.
GTA 5 cost $265 million.
And 85 million of Skyrim's cost went into development, and 15 million went into marketing.
Let's look at No Man's Sky.
Which is very relative.
No Man's Sky. What would be the budget for No Man's Sky?
Was estimated to cost. That's Destiny.
Don't worry, Ayrton. I also have nothing to add here.
I appreciate that.
$90 billion.
You're not alone.
Right. So this is basically like 4 times to double the cost of fully developed AAA video games.
Right.
and it at best has an extremely buggy alpha.
Well, I
At
mean,
best.
a lot of their money was raised through the purchase of essentially art, right? Like these were the
Yeah.
original NFT grifters.
Yeah. But they don't have an ability
They
to
sold you
put those into the
pictures of
game.
ships that you might be able to play if the game ever launched.
Yeah.
But it's not a pipe dream. And it wouldn't take 10 to 20 years to implement.
It's not a Tuma.
It's not a tumor.
Yes, this is so stupid that we've been reduced to the retardation of Arnold.
Hey. We were denied Crusade because Ridley Scott screwed up a medieval movie, and he screwed up a second medieval movie now with The Last Duel.
All right, Larry.
And then complained that it was all our fault
generous.
because we like video games.
Yeah.
I'm
Like, for example,
be
did you know one of the things that was going to be in
hold on, Larry.
Schwarzenegger's Crusade?
Hold on. I'm going to be a generous deity vessel. And I'm going to give you the last 10 minutes to go on about poop.
So the poop story starts off with a related story. So Games Workshop has a problem with the right people who are on the right side of history, who they say, well, the leading faction of that game is fascist. So the Imperium is driven by hate, but Games Workshop / Warhammer
Wait, are
Fantasy
they powered
isn't.
by hate tapes, though?
I don't think so. So
they're not as
came
good
up
as
with,
a Golden Age comic.
Yeah. Games Workshop put out a statement to say you're not supposed to root for the fascists. Instead, you should root for the horror monsters that are basically aliens. Or the horror fungus monsters.
That's not what they said.
Or the space communists.
That is not what they said.
No, I'm just putting that into context because everybody is terrible in the Warhammer universe. Everybody knows everybody's terrible.
Yeah, no, they actually say everyone is terrible.
Okay. So that's your
In fact, in bold, there are no goodies in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. None. Especially not the Imperium of Man. So they want you to like the space communists or the space fungus monsters more than you like the space Nazis, even though they're not space Nazis. It's kind of complicated what you would even describe the Imperium of Man as.
You said space Nazis enough. I think Novelborough is about to show up.
But something happened the same week as they came out with this statement. The headquarters for Games Workshop in Nottingham, England, was shut down for a week because their sewage system stopped working. So Nurgle, one of the great ruinous powers, has spoken about Games Workshop's nonsense.
Hey, Papa loves you.
Papa Nurgle loves you so much that he's flooding you with poop.
He gives.
He gives.
He gives until it hurts.
He gives until his bowels runneth empty.
Yeah, so,
yeah, but it's Nurgle. They never runneth empty.
But you see, instead of Warhammer doing anything interesting with their setting, instead of Warhammer saying, hey, you know what? Maybe the fact that we've created a setting where, there's an existential threat that people are forced towards hatred and xenophobia is their only way to survive, even though that's not what the actual books say. What the books say is that for most of the Imperium, shit's normal. Like, there are entire worlds where, they're just farm worlds where farm.
It's government mandated is the thing.
Yeah.
Everything is actually awful, but the average farmer doesn't know it.
Yeah. Or if you're on a normal, hive world, things are fine.
Not on a hive world. Good God.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about a forge
for
world.
Everybody.
I'm not talking about a forge world. I'm talking about just a big,
No, I know you're talking about Necromunda, which is awful. No,
Necromunda is not your average hive
you
world.
You both almost said Necronomicon.
I did.
You guys got fish sticks on your brain.
But what if, I don't know, They
What about
decided
the
to say, you know what?
Necronomicon?
What if they said, instead of everything being dark and gruesome, what if there was finally light in this universe?
No, they're trying that. People hate it because
Well,
because they had to do Rowboat Gorilla Man, and nobody likes Rowboat Gorilla Man.
I mean, they're at least making the setting less overtly stupid.
No. They introduced Primaris Marines. It's more dumb. Don't lie.
Well, Primaris Marines make sense from a table perspective. It's like, listen, this new army is the best as ever. You have to buy this one.
Yes, because they have exactly one more wound and guns that break the meta.
Yeah. But they're doing things like one of the Primarchs returned and is trying to unwind the Cult of the Emperor because the Cult of the Emperor is destructive and stupid.
No. One of the Primarchs returned and enacted his long-term plan to screw over his daddy's government that he started thousands of years ago and no one's caught on yet.
You see, I'm not entirely sure that's what they're saying in the new meta. I'm not entirely sure that also the Emperor's coming back, so it could be he's preparing for the return of his father.
No, I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is we're going to get some brain transference fuckery, where the Emperor's brain's going to be put in Gorillaman's body, and it's going to be, more than the same bullshit, because he is your spiritual liege, didn't you know?
Mm-hmm. And also the Emperor does manifest spiritually all over the place in the Imperium.
Well, yes, but he can't. He's one spiritual being. He can't do everything. That's the entire point. He can't be everywhere.
My only question is, does the Emperor get new clothes?
Well,
because he's a spooky skeleton man.
Yeah, he's barely a corpse, and he's kept alive by 30,000 people being sacrificed to him every day.
Well, isn't that just primed to be tricked into thinking that your clothes are real when they're not?
I mean, he's in his armor because his armor is necessary for the chair that keeps him "quote unquote" alive.
Okay, the Emperor's new armor. Then, God damn it, I'm just trying to make this interesting.
Well, no. The important element is that the Emperor was always fooling with people, because the Emperor is not very fucking human. So no, clearly the Emperor is a spooky skeleton man in a bathrobe pretending to be dead.
And with that, Ayrton, I think it's time to sign off with spooky, scary skeletons.
Do you have that drop?
If you give me a second.
Spooky, scary skeletons. Spooky, scary skeletons.
As long as there's not an ad.
We them island boys.
God damn it, there's a fucking ad.
You gotta get that YouTube premium like I got, bro.
Yeah, fuck that. There we go.
Also, we have to criticize this while it's playing because it's fair use. I think the introduction melody is quite nice.
Spooky, scary,
I agree, mostly because I can't actually hear when I play shit to you guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, the vocals aren't quite there. They're not spooky, scary skeleton enough.
Scary skeletons speak with such a screech.
We need, Peter Cushing to be doing this.
Well, I think it should have been edited at about 1.25 speed. Give it a little bit more emphasis. It's a little too slow. I think that's what most of the remixes
you mean
played at is 1.25. But on
like
ladies
that?
and gentlemen, we're gonna get the fuck out of here.
Oh,